Rebels, welcome back to the channel. So I had a few extra thoughts on the market that I wasn't able to squeeze into my weekly review, and yeah, just some other thoughts that I've been having lately. So I just wanted to kind of go through the charts and show that. So looks like we're hitting some resistance, which we anticipated. Kind of been waiting for a pullback, as I mentioned in previous videos, and so far we're holding above this major trend line, which is a strong signal. But we did get this 3 bars down signal again. Now, because it's not coming from a major peak, it's not as strong of a signal. But if we go back through and back test this a little bit, you can see that, during these 3 down periods, even though it's not from a major top, can cause the market to bleed off. And I believe that happened again. Yeah, like in this area here. So the market kind of bled from there, but not as significant as from this top, which, took 8 months to resolve itself. But either way, short term, that's kind of what we're looking like. We are seeing some selling coming in, which we saw in the weekly close last week. But overall, still in strong territory across the board, above all major 50% levels. And this is a speed line from the last move, just to see how does this current move compare to the last move. And we're quite strong. And I had mentioned before that it wouldn't surprise me to see a pause or for this to dip back down to this trend line here. Basically, it's not a trend line, but it is a speed line. Kind of give us an idea, gauge if this is a stronger move than the last period or the same. But this is kind of the benchmark. This is what we'd like to see. We'd like to at least see an equal move this time. So had that going around. There was a couple other things that I didn't actually get to on the weekly analysis there, but is worth noting. The USDT dominance, we found support here on this major 50% level and support and resistance here. So no surprises there. And this is kind of going to be the inverse of the Bitcoin price, where we've had the overbalance in time and price on Bitcoin to the upside, meaning that it's most likely that any drawdown from here will be a higher low and bracing us for more upside. Conversely, this overbalance in time and price right here for USDT dominance to the downside, we would expect any rallies from here to be a lower high. So that's kind of what we're looking at. So targets for the upside, we have this major support and resistance area along with this shorter term 50% level would be where I would be looking. So this is basically the buy the dip opportunity that I've been talking about. So we are seeing some weakness in the market right now, but I think because of the previous data with the overbalance in time and price, that's a much higher probability that this dip will be a higher low, and this is actually the buy the dip opportunity. So I think what gets a lot of people in trouble is they'll be in this market and they'll be buying the dip the whole way down, don't have any capital by the time they get down to here. And so, would have been better off waiting for the market to show its hand and show strength, because it was showing weakness this whole time, especially from that major signal that we got from the 3 days down over here from a major peak at the time. So yeah, that's kind of how I'm viewing that. USDT dominance showing some strength because we did get a bounce off that 50% level, did not close beneath it. So the other one is for the total crypto market cap. Well, we can see here in strong territory overall for this move. However, if we throw up a 50% tool for the most current move, we can see we got rejected spot on the 50% level, which also coincided with this major support and resistance area. So no surprises there. And this actually kind of showcases what I've been talking about. What I'm kind of hoping for, honestly, is for the market to come down, put in another swing direction here, and then to the upside. And what that will do is, on a breach of this level coming into strong territory, we will have a higher low and a higher high. Now, this is kind of picture perfect scenario. I'm not saying it's going to come out like that, but this will be a very good trigger. And then that will also get us closer to an overbalance in time and price on the altcoin space. There's another reason why we haven't gone in as heavy on the altcoins, because while there was opportunity and we were able to capture some of that, we don't have that confirmation in the altcoin market yet. Bitcoin leads, so that is the leading indicator for the rest of the market. So we were able to get in a little bit early there. Other notes was the dollar showing some strength here. I'm actually kind of surprised to see that down this week, but that doesn't actually mean much. I am definitely anticipating the dollar coming up to retest some of these levels here, which could also be a headwind for crypto. And if I zoom way, way out on this, I just want to show that the US dollar has been in this very large ascending channel for a long, long time. So how we respond here is going to be very interesting to me. And yeah, this is actually going to be really interesting. We can see the last real estate cycle anyhow. We did end up, the dollar did fall into that correction and actually basically bottomed right like right as the GFC was happening, and then the dollar took off from there. And so what I'm expecting is, what I'm waiting for is a larger rollover in the dollar like this. So potentially breaking out of this channel to the downside. But this is something that plays out over months and years. So this isn't a short-term indicator by any means, but in the short term, definitely expecting the market to come up and test this major support level that supported the market, since January of 2023. So quite a long time, which, like I said, could be a headwind for crypto. So I wanted to point that out as well. In the stock markets, I don't cover that a lot, but we are seeing a strong recovery as well. And we have an overbalance of time and price to the upside on the stock market. We have broken through this downtrend and looks like we're coming back to retest some of these levels into this buy zone, into this 50% level. So none of this is surprising as far as a pullback in the market. That did stop us out of at least one position so far. Put this back onto the daily time frame. This one, another reason why I went in very, very light with this position because we entered on a daily uptrend, because this was a pretty powerful move. And while, yes, it did seem right for a cool down, I wanted to have a little bit of exposure in case this thing took off to retest some of these higher levels and find support up here. So not worried about this one. This one got liquidated. It was a very, very small position, especially compared to the profits that we were making on the way up. So another reason I went in very light with this one is because we were starting to get a little overheated. And the other one, the major one, is the exchange volume here. Oh, let's do this. Yeah, so the exchange volume, we were experiencing some upside in the volume, which was really good. But again, we were still in this downtrend. So it was, very cautious. In order for us to be actually really confident, we want to see higher lows above these tops and breaking through this trend line. So that was another reason why we were very cautious with these entries, just because of that. Because if there's the volume is basically the lifeblood of the market. And if there's not volume there, it's just much easier for prices to come down. But in the very short term, so far, we have held above this major low here. And what we're kind of looking for is this slow grind upwards with higher highs and higher lows. That's what I would like to see. But we will just have to see what the market actually gives us. So right now with this declining volume, especially cautious. So I actually kind of faded that signal for a while and hadn't kept a hawk eye on it like I could have or should have. But either way, I positioned myself the way it, what made sense at the time. One thing I want to go through quickly is the crypto search terms here. If I can find that picture that I have. Yeah, I wanted to kind of go through crypto search volumes too, so we can see this is over the past 5 years, and we can see that we're kind of at the lows here as far as search term volumes. So I just kind of wanted to go back in time, kind of show you how retail gets it wrong basically every time. So we're just going to walk through each of these major peaks in this Google search volume and see what we can kind of extrapolate from that. So I'm just going to quickly bang through this quickly, so we can kind of get an idea of how retail gets it wrong pretty much every time. So we can see the very first signal that we had for peak search term volume happened basically at the peak of this run. Interest fell off very rapidly. And so basically retail again was late to the party. We had this giant run up, and there would have been signals back here to get long, and you would have experienced quite a bit of upside before the crowd entered. And then, of course, probably right here is when the crowd got more interested and pushed prices higher. The other thing to note was the next peak then was lagged behind. You can see that again, retail was late to this move. And the peak search volume didn't happen until after this peak and well into this decline. Moving forward, one thing that I don't have marked up on that chart, but what I did notice is that the actual peak of Bitcoin's price, the search volume was very, very low. So that was actually a really big signal that that the interest wasn't there and the volume wasn't really there to actually support these prices. Search volume was just off a cliff. Nobody was interested in these at this time, even with a higher price. That would be a major signal that things are looking weak and are not healthy. The next one we have here would have been, and so I guess if you're shorting the market, this would be almost the exact inverse of what we just saw, where retail was completely late to the party and was not interested until basically the last final push down. So we had zero retail involvement during this entire bear market, and interest only came in the max pain zone here when the FTX collapsed. That was the max pain. In that particular signal, after a bear market, was a pretty good indicator that things were actually going to kind of start to get interesting. So moving along, again, retail is late to the party. Max search volume happens pretty much max price in March for that March peak. So again, retail not getting interest until somewhere above 50,000 and getting very, very excited near $73,000 here. But again, late to the party. You had basically, let's see, November of 22 to March of 24. You could have been long that entire time, and people were late to the party. There you go. And again, just before Trump's inauguration, again, we had peak interest. I was saying this earlier in earlier videos that basically people aren't going to be interested until prices are somewhere in this zone, even though we've been up for a few months, right? So these are things to look at and to kind of keep in mind. And if we go, let me just go to last year. Just kind of see, yeah. So like basically near these lows are more. It's better to be interested in the market when the retail interest or search volume is out of the market, because during these peak euphoria times or peak fear times, those are dangerous times to be in the market. The volatility is higher, kind of things that you want to avoid. And so we're kind of just creeping down into the search volumes. And what I ended up doing is kind of just going back and looking at all the history that we had. And you can see that really, somewhere sub 20 on the search volume has been a good time to be interested before the market ends up taking off, which we're kind of in that zone right now. Let me go past 12 months. Just in the last year, no, let's see. Let's go 5 years. That's what I did. Yep. So yeah, basically, bottoming out here at about 14, 17. We're sitting here at 17 again. So what I'm saying is that typically before you get larger moves, this is almost like a sentiment reading in a way where it's an interest, I guess, indicator where there's almost no interest in the market. And so we're kind of getting back to those levels right now. Retail's not here. Retail's not interested. So these are kind of the quiet times to look at these strong signals, like indicating that Bitcoin is posed to go higher, yet nobody is paying attention. Nobody's searching Bitcoin. So these are the more opportune times, in my opinion, to be interested in getting in the market, rather than when everybody else is interested. You can see you were late to the party every single time. Just walking through that quickly. Yeah, I just thought that was a really interesting thing to note. So yeah, again, zooming out, definitely expecting some more pause in the market. We had that 3-day down signal here. Not going to surprise me to come back down to this speed line, maybe find some support down into these levels, retest these levels at the very least. that would make sense to me. So basically with the exchange volume low and the interest low, not expecting any major rallies from here. But like I said, I think we're just in that quiet beginning stages. So like back in here, this was very quiet through here. There was almost no interest until again we peaked interest once Bitcoin poked its head above those highs. So these are the times while we're below these tops. These are the times that we can start looking for those opportunities and get involved. And again, like I said, we can actually go through some of these positions here quickly. I'll go through some of these positions. Basically took all I took a bunch of profits. I took at least 50% off the table up in this zone, anticipating a pullback because of some of the other factors that I've mentioned, along with just this chart on its own merit was running into resistance there. So we're in healthy profit still, and I was able to pull about I can't remember, it's 3 to 4K off the table, sitting on the sidelines ready for some other opportunities that I see. This one was done on a retest of this particular pattern. Not super worried about it because I have strong conviction that this low will hold. And if not, it's okay. Because like I said, any of the positions that I got into after this virtuals run up that we had are relatively small positions because of the exchange volume. There's a little bit of, it's a little lackluster. It's not a lot of super strong signs. This one, again, same thing. I mean, there were a couple that I tried to get in on when the daily trend turned up, and then it just immediately went against us. So that's also, you just have to read it as it comes. It's like strong market, the exchange volume was increasing at the time, so it kind of made sense. But if levels break below this, then I'm not interested. And we still do have that one. This one, TAI, talked about that one. That one got liquidated. Not a problem. Looking for another entry there. Portal, same kind of thing. Entered pretty early on this pattern, and definitely seeing a decline there. I'm really just not worried about any of these positions. Like, I'm just really not, because the position sizes were so small that, I mean, that's why I didn't have large position sizes. Like, I'm waiting for the exchange volume to show its strength and for an overbalance in time and price on the actual altcoin market before we go a little crazy. So yeah, we have a few little cheeky positions open right now. Our biggest one in profit there. Definitely anticipate us staying in profit even during this drawdown. But yeah, I'll be going through the charts over the coming weeks. I keep saying I'm not going to find entries, but there have been a few opportunities that seem good, but don't have huge conviction until we start seeing that volume enter the market. So that's kind of like the most basic sense here. I know I'm not expecting a total collapse or anything like that, but a healthy correction would make sense. And theoretically, altcoins are a little bit different. They definitely have more of an ability to break those previous lows, but Bitcoin for sure, very high conviction that we will form a higher low, which will just add strength to the market. And like I said earlier, it'll add some of that structure that I'm looking for, where I'm hoping to get a weekly swing down so that we can then form a higher low. And so that's kind of one of those catch-22s where, we're definitely want to be long in this market, but right now we actually need prices to come back down to form that structure that's going to give us even more conviction. And then at that time, we will see what the exchange volume is doing, hopefully steadily grinding upwards, but we'll just have to read that in real time. So anyhow, doing pretty good. I'm satisfied with what we have going on here. Not worried about these positions really. If we get liquidated, then we get liquidated. That's all part of it. But we went in with much smaller size in anticipation that was a possibility. High conviction that we have found the low and shouldn't breach those prices. If we do, well, then we got to change our opinion and reassess from there. But so far, we're looking at strong territory. I'm anticipating this pullback to be a healthy part of market price action, and this is going to be a really good buy the dip opportunity as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, those are my thoughts there. Just wanted to share, and hopefully that was helpful.